our special guest for tonight is Chris Childs, former NBA player. This is really an honor for you to be joining the podcast, and thank you again. But before we get to your family, I'm going to let Gabby introduce herself so you know more about her.
Sure. My name's Gabby Rosenthal. I work in the sports industry doing PR and live events. Big time Knicks fan, as you can see by my hoodie over here. A New Yorker true and true. And I'm the co-host of a sneaker and lifestyle podcast called The Kicks and Shit Show. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So Chris, so how are you and your family doing during this tough situation?
Everybody's doing well. We're spread out. You know, my kids are in. My older kids are in Arizona, so they're doing well. Early on, my oldest son and my oldest daughter had COVID.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Yeah, it hits everybody differently. My son, he didn't have the symptoms, but my daughter did, and you know, she was to where her bones were hurting. So. She had it pretty bad, but good thing they were young, in shape.
Yeah.
God was, you know, on their side, and they recovered and they're back to their normal lives as normal can be. But other than that, everybody's good. You know, God is good. We're getting through this. Hopefully, everyone else is being safe and precaution and taking, you know, doing everything possible to social distance. I speak to a lot of the couple of the doctors at Lenox Hospital from the cardiology department. Dr. Paul, Dr. Peter,
right.
If you're watching, keep up the good work. They're on the front line of this thing, continue to fight and save lives. So I just want to give Lenox Hospital a quick shout out, the cardiology department.
Absolutely. I'm glad to hear that they're feeling better now. That's so crazy.
That's the main thing, yeah.
Yeah, this thing it's tough on everybody. You know, it hits everybody differently. You know, So we just have to be precaution and keep them in our prayers, and hopefully they're doing the right things.
Yeah, for sure. So Gabby, I'm gonna let you start off with the questions.
So, as I've already mentioned, I'm a big Knicks fan. I grew up in Jersey. I watched you on the Nets. I watched you play on the Knicks.
Yep.
I mean, what was your motivation to keep pushing as you entered the league? Because I know you started out undrafted. So what was your motivation? And then how did that lead you to going from kind of more of the minor leagues to the majors?
Well, I mean, it was something at a young age that I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And it wasn't basketball. You know, baseball was my favorite sport. I got drafted in baseball, but growing up, I had an older brother that everybody kept saying that I wasn't better than him in basketball. So when you get challenged like that, I decided to say, okay, let me show you,
right.
You know, who's the best. And even though he was more talented than I was, I had the desire to succeed. And so I turned down money for baseball. I picked basketball. And I put my heart and soul into it. And, you know, it was nights where it was 2 or 3 in the morning. I called a buddy of mine who had the key to the gym to let me in the gym, and I wanted to shoot jump shots. And that's what you have to do if you want to be, because everybody in the NBA is great. Right. I don't care if he's the 15th man on the team. You're one of the best to play the game. So if you want to be good, or if you want to be great, you got to put in the work.
Right.
That's so true.
Yeah. So, Mike, my first question to you: when did you get interested in playing basketball, and who was your biggest influencer in that?
Well, I remember I think I was about 4 when I think it was my mother put a drumstick from the drum set in my crib and a ball. And I picked the drumstick first, but then I grabbed the ball and fell in love with it. So everywhere my older brother went, he took me with him. And so I watched him perform, watched him play, and I just saw how fun it was, how competitive it was, and how these guys were, I mean, I have to admit it, they were cool. You know, if you guys think about it, I think basketball players are the coolest, don't you think?
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a reason why Jordan brand is still the coolest brand
Yeah.
to wear. I mean, that's where it all started, from basketball.
Yeah, basketball, and so, back then the shorts weren't that long.
Right.
We had the pretty much the tighty whitey type shorts.
Yeah.
But it was just it was like a ballet dancer out there, a basketball player. I remember watching, people made fun of a football player named Willie Gault. He was a wide receiver, and he took ballet. And a lot of people didn't understand that, but I understood it because I saw the grace that he played with and the different angles that he had to catch the ball. And it's the same thing in basketball. People, say, well, you shouldn't take yoga or you shouldn't take ballet, but I don't prescribe to that. I think a lot of players, if you want to be more flexible and have more agility in the game, you should try, something different. It's okay to be uncomfortable.
Right.
Absolutely. So I have to know, what was it like playing for two different New York metropolitan area teams? And, I know you're best known for your time with the Knicks, but like, how are the cultures different? And do you have a favorite? It's okay if you don't want to answer that last part, but I had to ask.
Hold on, I have to take a sip. Great question. Great question. I have to give a lot of credit and a lot of big ups to the Nets because that's where I started.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first opportunity to play. But I signed my biggest contract in New York. And, when I was with the Nets, we were like the little brother. The Knicks were the big brother. And so going to New York, it opened up my eyes to the business of basketball. And being able to go to the biggest market and play and, coming from the CBA to have your name announced as a starting point guard for the New York Knicks, that's like a dream come true. So if I had to pick, you see the colors.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You see the colors.
Heard you.
It's the Knicks. I'm a Knick till I die. I root for them. I yell at them. I curse at the TV. I do everything that a normal fan does. So, cheers to the Knicks.
Cheers to the Knicks.
Yeah. So,
I know that's water, not vodka, right?
Which one?
Yeah.
Is that water?
I don't think that's water.
It's a very personal question.
Hey, you asked the personal question.
That's true. It's I actually am not the biggest vodka girl. I'm more of a tequila soda kind of girl.
Uh-oh. Patron? Good choice.
Thank you.
So my next question here is, what is it like playing for Boise State College and obviously the blue and orange colors too? But what is it like playing with Boise State?
Oh, it was great. At first it was a culture shock. Coming from California, going to Boise, Idaho. It was a lot of uncertainties, unknown. A lot of times when we're growing up, we're afraid to look outside the box and see different people, different races, different nationalities. But I was prepared for anything because my dad always taught me to treat people like you want to be treated. So I was comfortable from the beginning being there. And it was tough at first because being a freshman, having a high expectations. But it took me probably a month and a half to get acclimated and make Boise State my team. I knew the coach already, but I had a plan in place that I was going to start as a freshman. I was going to battle for that position, and I did, and I won. And the rest is history. I had 4 great years there. We made all conference every year, MVP. My senior year, we made it to the NCAA tournament. I was in Sports Illustrated. I was, one of the best guards come out the West back in 80. I think that issue was 88 or 89. And so I always have a fond place at Boise State in my heart.
Hmm.
So I have a question. I know we've been talking a lot about the Knicks, but I have to know, just growing up in Jersey, I know you've lived in Jersey as well. What do you think about the Nets going to Brooklyn? Has the culture changed? I mean, they're going to be a team to watch this year. I would love your thoughts. And are the Knicks still New York's team?
Well, first and foremost,
Yeah.
I hated the Nets left New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Because they kept, now you got two New York basketball teams. They should have kept it in Jersey, but I understand the money was too big to give up. I don't know if they were going to build them a new arena or not. I don't know what the city council was, but yeah, I didn't like that move. I don't care who they bring to the Nets. It's
Right.
still a New York team.
Yeah.
When the Yankees were winning, back in when I was there, and Derek Jeter was with the Yankees, we still were the team.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they won titles, we still were the team because I think the way we played, we represented what New York was all about. The guys that were on the team, the hard-nosed, the diving in the stands, the no easy layups, the hard fouls, a lot of fights.
It was a physical game back then, absolutely.
Yeah, it's totally different game, different mindset. Guys are afraid to mix it up. They rather be friends and Instagram buddies and hugging. We didn't do that because we had to keep the edge because it was so competitive when we played back then. So I don't see, unless Brooklyn wins 2-3 titles, then maybe. But that NY, man, is strong. Those two letters, they don't get no stronger than that.
That's a fact.
So throughout your NBA career, you got to play with a lot of legends, I want to get to two players you played with. You played with Charles Oakley and you played with Vince Carter. What was it like playing with those two players and learning from them throughout your career?
Well, Oak and I are still to this day are good friends. We talk, once a week. I just talked to him the other day. His mindset was a lot like mine because luckily for me, I got to the Knicks. I was already 25. I wasn't a 19, 20-year-old rookie. So my game was already at that level. I didn't have to come in and try to be something that I wasn't. That was just the way I played. So I got accepted real quick. And I just remember me and Oak sitting down in the locker room, and he was like, well, I'll take care of the big guys. You take care of the guards. So I was like, cool, no problem. And so we just developed great chemistry, great friendship. If you watch a lot of the games, him and I in pick and roll situations, I know where he's going to pop. I know what he's going to do. Defensively, he talks a lot. I talk a lot. And so we kept everybody on the rubber band, per se, defensively. And he's one of the greatest teammates that I've ever played with, having such a great basketball IQ. He knew the game. He studied the game. He always kept himself in physical shape, so I enjoyed playing with him. I'm going to say something nice about Vince, but I shouldn't because he hasn't called me back yet. I texted him yesterday, so I'm pissed off at him.
Come on, Vince.
Yeah, I'm going to say something nice to him about him anyway.
Yeah.
When I got traded to Toronto, I moved into a condo, and Vince was like right across the hall from me. So we were neighbors. And so when I got there, he was skeptical because he, thought I was just this mean, nasty guy, but I wasn't. I'm a nice dude. I used to hang out on 33rd Street, the cafes by the garden with the fans and whatnot. So I told him, don't let how I play influence your thinking of who I am as a person. And so one day in practice, Lenny Wilkins, who was our coach, he said, Chris, you guard Vince. I'm like, all right. And then, I was roughing him up a little bit. And so Vince jumps out the sky. And so he went up for a dunk. And I went up like I was getting ready to knock his block off. And he flinched and double clutched and missed it.
Oh, my God.
And so after practice, I went up to him and I said, Vince, why did you flinch? He said, I thought you were going, to foul me real hard. I said, well, if you jump out the gym, you're going to be the initiator. Don't let someone else initiate the contact. You initiate it first. So that was just the introduction of my leadership of what I was bringing to that team, and watching this kid who had some of the most athletic ability I've ever seen out of any player next to Michael and Dominique Wilkins. He was just unbelievable to watch. I watched this game develop from just a leaper to a deadly three-point shooter, in between game, able to finish with left and right hand going to the basket. And he's going to be a surefire Hall of Famer, even though he didn't win a ring. He's definitely going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you have a favorite moment? I know you played at MSG during the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, there's nothing like the Mecca, nothing like the Garden, but is there one moment that really stands out to you, whether it was on the Knicks or any of the other teams?
It was two. One was when I first put on my jersey, when I got to the Nets. It was a feeling like no other, finally making it after 5 years, able to take exhale, wow, but I still had work to do. And the other moment was us making it to the NBA Finals. Being an HC, nobody expected anything out of us. We knew what to expect out of us because all we wanted to do was get into the playoffs. Because we felt if we got in, there wouldn't be any issues with Miami because we dominated them for 4 or 5 years. So we knew we can beat them. And, LJ hitting 4-pointer, going through Miami, sweeping Atlanta. Even us, going in, we performed well under the circumstances against San Antonio. So that whole moment, I'll never forget. That's the only picture that I have in my house is the garden going crazy after LJ hit the 3-pointer. So that moment sticks out the most.
Yeah. So going back to Vince Carter real quick, I interviewed Jarvis Hayes on my show last week, and he played with Vince Carter when he was in New Jersey. So going back, so text Vince Carter for me. I'm trying to get him on the podcast too. So whenever he answers, tell him that you got interviewed by the NR Hour and he wants Vince Carter on the show too.
Got you. I got you.
Yeah, thank you. That'd be awesome. So my next question to you, obviously, you went back to the Nets after the Knicks for your second stint, and what was it like? How tough is it leaving the Knicks and going back to the Nets? And did you get to play with Vince again in New Jersey too, or?
Yeah, when I went back to the Nets, the Knicks were going the opposite direction. I think they were trying to rebuild, and after I left Toronto and I signed with New Jersey, which would have been a great fit for myself, but I couldn't get healthy. I had a hairline fracture in my foot, and so it caused me not to be able to work out. I gained a little weight, and then I lost the weight, but my foot still wouldn't heal. So I only played 30 games. Not even 30, 22 games.
Oh, wow.
Signed a 2-year deal. Rod Thorne was the general manager. Yep. They had a great team, Jason Kidd. I was playing good minutes, 20 minutes a game, which was fine with me at that time in my career. They had Jason Kidd, Kerry Kittles, Kenyon Martin, Richard Jefferson, Vince Carter, Lucius Harris, Aaron Williams. I mean, they had a lot of talent on that team. Dikembe was on that team. So, and they made back-to-back finals. That those 2 years that I would have been on that team. So it was an easy transition because one, I didn't have to move. You know, I didn't have to move. I stayed in Fort Lee even after I left to go to Toronto. I still had my place in Fort Lee, and then I was spending a lot of time in Baldwin, Long Island as well. So it was an easy transition. I knew the guys. I knew what their goals were, where they were trying to go. So unfortunately, I couldn't get healthy because I think I would have contributed to that team that was very special, and those guys played well for the 2 years to make it to the finals.
So I have to ask, what do you think that the Knicks need to do now to get back into playoff contention? I know I'm sure we have to cut off the time at a certain point, so we could talk about this forever, but I'd love to know your thoughts, especially with the new coaching staff, and what are the immediate changes that need to happen in New York for them to be New York's team again?
Can you repeat that, Gabby?
Sure. What do you think that the Knicks need to do to get back into playoff contention? I know there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but I'd love your thoughts on what the Knicks can do in the immediate for this upcoming season.
The Knicks?
I know.
Well,
I know.
Well, first, when you have to establish a style of play, and that starts with the coaching staff, bringing in the right players to fit the right system. I played for Thibodeau when he was in New York as assistant coach.
Oh, wow.
So I know what he brings to the table. I know what he expects of the young men. But it's just a matter of getting the right players to fit his system and the style of play that they're going to have to play to compete in the East. I think you should always make other teams adjust to you. So if they can, come out and establish a style of play where they're going to get up and down, where they're going to be a defensive-minded team, whatever it is, they just have to get some consistency. Because lately, when you watch the Knicks, you don't know what to expect.
Yep.
They do one thing good, one thing bad. They might play one way one night, a different way the other night. But the core of their players who they have returning, I like. But everybody can't play in New York.
Right.
The city, the limelight, the nightlife. Everybody think that NBA players have it easy. You only practice for 2 hours a day. You might lift for another hour. You might get treatment for another hour. So your 4 hours are spent at the gym. How do you manage the other 20 hours?
Right.
And over time, a lot of players have come in the league and been a high draft pick and then end up not being in the league at all because they weren't able to manage their daily life, their other 20 hours that they would spend away from the gym. So that's the key. And you can tell a lot of times when you're watching the team play what guys are hanging out at night. So I can. I don't know about the normal fan, but I can tell who's at Sue's Rendezvous or the Shark Bar or Jimmy's in the Bronx. So I don't know. Wait, I'm excited because I know the energy that Tibbs is going to bring and the fans are going to love it. And if the players can match Tibbs' energy, sky's the limit.
So before I want to ask you about Jason Kidd, but before we get to that, I want to get to a little controversy here. When you were playing with the Knicks and you played against the Lakers, I'm sure you got asked this a lot, but about the fight with Kobe Bryant. What was that? What was that like against the Lakers?
I'm having a problem hearing right now.
Oh.
Is this live?
No, it's not live. No.
Can you pause it? I'm gonna get my earphones real quick.
Okay. Oh no, this is Oh, okay. Let me. All right.
You can pause it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on one second.
All right. Can you hear us now?
Yep.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you before. I want to ask you something about Jason Kidd, but before that, I want to get to a little controversy. I'm sure you got asked this a lot after your career, but you was when during a game when you were at the Knicks and against the Lakers, you had a fight with Kobe. Can you explain what happened at that time?
Well, I did a podcast the other day, and I promised I didn't want to revisit that.
Oh,
But rest in peace,
yeah.
Kobe. This is a tough topic for me, but I'll get through it. Hold on one second. In basketball, the point guard is taught when the shot goes up to get back on defense. And so we got cross-matched because Allen took a shot, Kobe took off, and I had to, pick him up. And so I play defense a little more physical than Allen Houston does.
Yeah.
And as I'm, bumping him a little bit as he's going through the paint,
Right.
he shoots me an elbow. And so I'm like, okay, that's all right. As long as it stays below the shoulders, I'm okay with it. Anything above the shoulders, I have a problem with because I have 4 concussions.
Right.
And so same thing again happens. He takes off. I run back. He hits me with another blow. So I tell Monty McCutcheon, who was the referee at the time, you're going to take care of this. And he gave me the emoji shrug. I'm like, okay, no problem. So I told Kobe, I said, you do that again, I'm going to take off on you. And we went around the screen. Shaq set a screen. And so something was right at his chin. And so I had to, nudge him a little bit to get him away from me. He threw another little short, chicken wing elbow. And, I had 50 friends and family
Right.
in the stands, so I was already committed. And so you guys know what happened after that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy.
Do you think the level of physicality in basketball has changed? I mean, I know the game itself has changed just with the setup of players, the setup of teams, but do you think that basketball is missing some of that competitiveness and physicality that it used to have in the 90s and early 2000s?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they had to make a change, Gabby. It was rough. It was rough out there, and the game evolves, continues to evolve. European players started coming over and being pretty darn good and skilled. And so I think I don't know if they did anything as far as background on were the ratings high or low, or have the ratings changed that much. But with the evolving of the game itself, the speed of the game, more three-point shooting, they had to make some changes. I just don't like the quick whistle of a flagrant foul when you just barely touch somebody, or you go up to block a shot and the person is shooting the basketball with his arm. Of course, he might hit a portion of his head, trying to defend the basket or block the shot, but everything doesn't have to be a flagrant 1 foul or a flagrant 2 foul. That's the only part of the game that I don't like, because you can't defend the basket like you used to and make a statement that you can't come in here and shoot easy layups.
Right.
With that not being able, when you're not being able to do that, it's more of a finesse game, and that's why guys get in foul trouble more, because they want to commit, but then they decommit, and then they're already in position, and they get those quick fouls. So I'm pretty sure they're going to make some more changes, hopefully in the right direction, as far as letting the guys play a little more physical.
Hmm. So before we let you go, I do this fun little segment on my show. It's called the rapid fire segment. So you ready for this? So
I stay ready.
my first one is to you. What was it like playing with Jason Kidd? What advice did he give you while you were playing with him, Jason Kidd?
Jason Kidd just said, run the floor. Just run the floor. That's all you have to do playing with him is run the floor and be ready to shoot because he's going to get you the ball. And one thing I've always said, when you're a point guard, you as a shooter, you want the ball on time and on target.
Mm-hmm. Kawhi Leonard's laugh or Kevin Hart's laugh?
Kawhi's laugh. It's awesome.
Favorite food?
Favorite food? Anything Italian.
Favorite memorable game that you played in the NBA?
It was two triple double against the Bulls when I was with the Nets, and the triple double when the bubble was tough. It had to be tough for the guys, being away from your family, not being able to go out and get comfortable. But I think it was a little different because it was good because they didn't have to travel.
Mm-hmm.
West Coast team going out east, East Coast team going out west. So that part was easy. But anytime you're uncomfortable in a situation, it has to be tough. But the Lakers did an unbelievable job. Miami did an unbelievable job. All the teams did.
So my next one here is, what are your thoughts of LA being a title town for the Dodgers and the Lakers winning for Kobe, and they've been through a lot too. So,
man, I hear it all the time from my buddies, back home. They're all, in LA and Bakersfield. They're Dodgers and Laker fans. So it's good for the city. They're building so much with football teams. The LA Chargers are doing well. The Dodgers are overdue.
Yeah.
I don't think they won one since Tommy Lasorda was the coach. So, congratulations to those guys. I know the amount of work that they put in, to try to win the championship. So, congratulations to both organizations.
How many ankles have you broken in your career?
With a crossover or my ankle?
Crossover.
Oh, I've had my share. I don't know the number, but I've had my share.
All right, so I got to ask you this. So I know that Tom Thibodeau's coming back with the Knicks, but for you, when you were playing for him, how many technical fouls did he get as an assistant coach?
Ooh, maybe offhand, maybe 2 or 3.
Oh.
Jeff didn't really like that too much with an assistant coach getting the technical. I know how many technicals I got.
Oh no.
But yeah, I had at least in my career with the Knicks, I probably had 30. A lot of times I would take one just to get the team motivated.
What was your pregame music before heading into a game?
Pre-game music was DMX.
That's right. That's
That was my hype music, DMX.
So when you were playing in your career, or before your career, or after your career, do you collect shoes like sneakers? Because Gabby here, she's a sneaker.
I was gonna say, I literally was just about to ask that.
You know what? I didn't collect a lot of shoes. I know my son did. I would collect them for my son. And I had pretty much everybody's sneaker. I had Muhammad Ali gloves.
Oh wow.
I had a signed autograph from Peter Falk from Colombo.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that was my favorite, Peter Falk. But it was hard for me to go up to guys. I would tell the trainer, one of the trainers, could they go ask one of the guys if I can get the sneakers for my son. So, but I didn't keep any of that stuff. I didn't even keep my championship finals jersey. I gave that to my son.
Really? Oh, wow.
Wow, that was very nice of you.
He got it. He got everything.
What was your favorite sneaker to play in?
What was my favorite? What?
Your favorite sneaker to play basketball in?
That had to be. Yeah, but any Nike makes a great sneaker. I never had any issues with any of the shoes that they sent me. But Fila, I have my own shoe. I designed my own shoe. So other than Grant Hill, I think I was the only other player to wear Fila at that time.
I like it.
What was your thought? All right, let me ask you this: do you think Chris Paul has a chance to come to New York this year?